Take a moment and breathe. Not because everything is resolved, but because you don't have to rush anymore. This message is for the one who feels behind, the one who feels like life moved forward without them, the one who keeps asking quietly, why did it take so long? Listen carefully now. You are not late. You were protected. There were moments you looked around and wondered how everyone else seemed to move ahead. They started sooner. They progressed faster. They reached milestones while you were still waiting. And you questioned yourself. Did I miss something? Did I make the wrong decision? Did I wait too long? But hear me now. Timing is not a race, and speed is not success. Some people arrive early and spend years repairing what they rushed into. Some people move fast and carry consequences they were never ready to hold. But you were slowed down on purpose. There were things you wanted that would have cost you peace if they arrived too early. There were doors you prayed would open that would have overwhelmed you before you had the strength to manage them. So I delayed you, not to punish you, not to test you endlessly, but to prepare you. You were still learning discernment, still healing patterns, still discovering your voice. And I will never give you something that destroys you instead of developing you. So I made you wait. While you thought nothing was happening, everything was happening. Your patience was forming, your discernment was sharpening, your resilience was strengthening. You learned how to stand alone, how to trust without evidence, how to keep moving without applause. Those lessons could not be rushed, because what I am bringing you into requires stability, not excitement. You weren't being delayed, you were being rooted. You don't see it yet, but I saved you from burnout. I saved you from relationships that would have drained your future. I saved you from commitments you would have outgrown painfully. You asked why certain things didn't work, but if they had worked, you would have lost yourself trying to keep them alive. Delay is often mercy that only makes sense later. I know there were nights you felt forgotten, prayers unanswered, silence heavy, time stretching longer than you expected. But silence was not absence. I was protecting your spirit from rushing into something that looked right but wasn't aligned. Waiting was not wasted. Waiting was refinement. You don't respond the same anymore. You don't chase like before. You don't beg for clarity. You pause, you discern, you choose carefully. That didn't come from success. That came from waiting. You became emotionally stable, spiritually grounded, internally strong, and that version of you can handle what's coming. When the door opens, it will not feel rushed. It will feel right. You won't panic. You won't question yourself. You won't feel pressure to prove anything. You'll step forward calmly, because you'll know the delay prepared you. What arrives late in human timing often arrives on time in divine alignment. Comparison will make you doubt timing that was custom designed for you. Your life is not behind schedule. It is unfolding at the pace that keeps you whole. What's meant for you cannot miss you. It does not need chasing. Now you move with peace instead of urgency, with trust instead of anxiety. You don't rush decisions. You don't force outcomes. And that peace is the signal that you're close. Delay taught you patience. Patience taught you trust. Trust positioned you for alignment. You are not late. You were delayed so you could arrive whole. You were slowed so you wouldn't break later. You were protected even when it didn't feel like it. And when you look back, you will not regret the waiting. You will thank me for every closed door, every pause, every slow season, because they saved you. If this message speaks to you, say, I trust God's timing. And if you're ready for what's next, say, I'm ready now. Stay patient, stay faithful. You are right on time. Stay with me,
Because this part is not about the waiting anymore. It's about what the waiting was preparing you for. You already know what it felt like to be delayed. You lived through the confusion. You questioned the timing. You wondered why things took so long. Now I want to show you what arrives after delay. Because delay is never the end of the story. It is the foundation. There are things I will never give quickly because they must last. Anything rushed can be taken. Anything forced can collapse. Anything unprepared can overwhelm you. But what I bring after delay comes with stability, not excitement that fades, not momentum that burns out. Stability. And stability is something you could not have carried earlier. Before, you needed reassurance. Before, you reacted emotionally. Before, you confused urgency with importance. Now, you move differently. That is why delay mattered. What arrives next will not require you to explain your worth. You won't audition. You won't compete. You won't fight to be seen. You will be recognized. Because delay healed your need for validation. You learned how to stand without applause, how to trust yourself without agreement, how to walk alone without bitterness. That version of you doesn't beg. And what I bring does not respond to desperation. It responds to alignment. You will know it's from me because it arrives peacefully, not loudly, not chaotically, not with pressure. It will feel calm. And calm may surprise you, because for so long you associated struggle with progress. But what comes after delay does not steal your breath, it gives it back. You will sleep better, think clearer, move slower but surer. Peace will be the confirmation. If it had arrived earlier, you would have doubted it, you would have overthought it, you would have questioned yourself. You would have sabotaged it out of fear. Delay removed fear from your decision-making. You were no longer afraid of loss because you survived absence. You were no longer afraid of change because you lived in uncertainty. You were no longer afraid of starting again because you already did internally. That strength was required. Delay saved you from exhaustion, from burnout disguised as success, from relationships built on imbalance, from opportunities that would have drained you. You didn't miss out. You were spared. You were spared from versions of life that looked good on the outside, but would have emptied you inside. That's why I didn't rush you. There will still be moments where doubt whispers, "Is this really happening? Can I trust this? What if it disappears?" That's not weakness, that's memory. But now you don't obey doubt. You acknowledge it and move forward anyway. That is maturity. What arrives after delay meets a healed nervous system. You no longer live braced for loss. You no longer expect disappointment. You no longer rush joy. You receive slowly. And that allows things to stay. This season is not dramatic, it is grounded. What I bring now comes with responsibility, not pressure, responsibility. Your words matter more now. Your boundaries matter more now. Your choices echo further. That's why I taught you restraint. Blessing without discipline becomes destruction. And I refuse to harm you with what you prayed for. What is meant for you moves toward you. You won't need to convince. You won't need to manipulate. You won't need to perform. It will feel mutual. And mutual effort is a sign of alignment. One day, quietly, you will look back and understand the delay, not with anger, not with regret, with gratitude. You will say, "If that had worked, I wouldn't be who I am now." And you will be thankful that I protected you from your own impatience.
Now I teach you something new. How to receive without bracing. How to enjoy without expecting loss. How to trust without overthinking. This is the final lesson of delay. You are not late. You are aligned. You are not behind. You are prepared. And what arrives now will stay because you know how to hold it. Not tightly, not fearfully, but wisely.
Stay with me, because this part is not about the past anymore. It's about how you move forward without fear controlling you. You've already survived the delay. You've already learned patience. You've already been prepared. Now the question is not, why did it take so long? The question is, how do you walk forward without carrying the fear the delay created? And that's what I want to teach you now. Even when waiting ends, fear doesn't disappear on its own. Fear lingers quietly. It whispers things like, what if this doesn't last? What if I lose it again? What if I'm disappointed one more time? That fear is not weakness. It is memory. You learn to protect yourself by expecting loss, and now I need you to unlearn that. Fear followed you because the delay taught you caution. Caution kept you safe, but fear keeps you stuck. There was a season where you needed to guard yourself, where hope without restraint would have broken you. But that season is over, and what protected you then will limit you now. You cannot receive fully while bracing for impact. Let me clarify something important. Discernment is calm. Fear is loud. Discernment observes. Fear panics. Discernment waits for clarity. Fear rushes or freezes. You are not being called to ignore wisdom. You are being called to release anxiety. And the difference matters now. Because fear will make you miss what is aligned by convincing you that safety is distance. Fear says, move fast or you'll lose it. Trust says, what's meant for you will remain. Delay taught you patience. Now patience teaches you trust. You no longer need to rush decisions. You no longer need to lock things down quickly. You no longer need to secure everything immediately. What I bring now does not disappear because you move slowly. It stays because it's aligned. Overthinking is fear pretending to be preparation. It convinces you that worrying equals control, but control is not safety. Presence is. You walk forward without fear by staying present instead of predictive. You don't need to imagine 10 outcomes. You don't need to prepare for loss that hasn't happened. You don't need to relive old disappointments. You only need today. One of the hardest things after delay is trusting good moments. Joy may feel suspicious. Peace may feel temporary. Stability may feel unfamiliar. But hear me carefully now. Not everything good is fragile. Some things are finally secure. You are allowed to enjoy without waiting for it to break. Fear will try to protect you by pulling you back. It will say, stay guarded, don't get too close, don't expect much. But isolation is not healing. Connection without discernment is dangerous, but connection with wisdom is growth. You don't walk forward by closing your heart. You walk forward by opening it carefully. I am not asking you to leap. I am asking you to step. One honest conversation, one peaceful decision, one moment of trust. Fear wants all or nothing. Faith moves incrementally. Small steps taken consistently create sustainable freedom. Fear may visit again, but now you don't obey it. You acknowledge it. You breathe. You choose anyway. That is courage. Courage is not fearlessness. It is movement despite fear. And every time you move, fear loses authority. One reason fear had power before is because you felt alone. But you are not alone now. You are supported. spiritually, emotionally, internally. You trust yourself more. You trust me more. And that changes everything. Confidence will not look loud. It will look calm, grounded, unrushed. You won't announce every step. You won't seek validation. You will simply move. And that quiet confidence will protect you more than fear ever did. Fear tries to control the future. Faith trusts it. You don't need guarantees. You don't need certainty. You don't need to see everything ahead. You only need to know this. You are prepared for whatever comes. That knowledge removes fear's power. You waited long enough. You healed deeply enough. You grew strong enough. Now walk forward. Not quickly, not fearfully, but confidently. You are not late. You are not unprepared. You are not at risk of losing everything again. You are ready. And you are safe to move. Stay with me a little longer. Because this part is not about delay. It's not about fear. It's not even about movement. This is about receiving. Many people survive waiting. Many people learn patience. Many people walk forward. But very few know how to receive without sabotaging what finally arrives. And that is what I want to teach you now. Waiting trains you to endure. Receiving asks you to trust. Endurance keeps you alert. Trust asks you to relax. For a long time, you lived in survival mode. You learned to expect loss. You learned to brace for disappointment. You learned to protect yourself by staying guarded. And now, when something good arrives, your body remembers the past before your spirit recognizes the present. So you hesitate. You ask, what if this doesn't last? What if I lose it again? What if I get hurt? That hesitation is not ingratitude. It is conditioning. Sabotage rarely looks like rejection. Most of the time, it looks like control, overthinking, over-preparing, over-managing. You tell yourself, if I stay alert, I won't be surprised. If I keep distance, I won't be hurt. If I don't expect too much, I won't be disappointed. But hear me now. Control is not safety. Trust is. And control will quietly ruin what trust would allow to grow. Fear wants proof. Fear says, test it, question it, make sure. But alignment does not need testing. What is from me will not collapse under patience. You don't need to rush it. You don't need to interrogate it. You don't need to prepare for loss. What arrives after delay is stable enough to remain. This is difficult because lowering your guard once hurt you. But listen carefully now. You are not the same person you were then. You have discernment now, boundaries now, wisdom now. Lowering your guard does not mean abandoning yourself. It means allowing joy without punishment. Your mind may still whisper, this is too good, something will go wrong, don't get used to this. That voice is not intuition, it is memory. And memory loses power when met with presence. Stay present. Don't project endings. Don't rewrite futures. Don't borrow pain that hasn't arrived. One of the deepest lies you learned is this: I must earn peace. I must prove worth. I must suffer to receive. But grace is not earned. It is given. What I give you now is not a reward for perfection. It is a gift for growth. You grew. You healed. You learned. Now you receive. You don't need to rush joy. You don't need to consume blessing quickly. You don't need to lock things down immediately. Receiving slowly is wisdom, not fear. You can enjoy something without clinging to it. You can welcome something without controlling it. That balance keeps it healthy. Healthy receiving feels calm, not euphoric, not chaotic, not overwhelming. Calm.
You sleep better. You breathe deeper. You feel settled. That calm is the sign. If something creates panic, it is not aligned. If something brings peace, it is safe to receive. Preparing for loss keeps loss alive in your imagination. You don't need to rehearse pain to survive it. You already survived enough. Now you are allowed to live without bracing. You are allowed to believe that good can stay. Fear will tell you, pull away, detach, protect yourself. Discernment will say, observe calmly. Learn the difference. Fear isolates, wisdom evaluates. You don't need to disappear, you just need to stay grounded. Receiving does not make you weak, it makes you open, and openness guided by wisdom is strength. You are not giving power away, you are allowing connection, and connection, when healthy, does not threaten you. You are learning something new, how to exist without tension, how to enjoy without fear, how to trust without overthinking. This is not temporary. This is your new foundation. You waited, you healed, you walked forward. Now receive. Not nervously, not cautiously, not fearfully, but openly. What I give you now will not punish you. It will sustain you. You are safe to receive.
Stay with me. This part is not about struggle, not about waiting, not about fear. This is about staying aligned after everything finally becomes lighter. Many people reach peace and then slowly drift back into pressure, not because they want to, but because alignment requires awareness. So let me show you how to live here without slipping back. Alignment will not announce itself loudly. It won't feel like adrenaline. It won't feel like urgency. It won't feel like chaos. It will feel steady. And that may feel strange at first, because you were trained to associate intensity with importance. But importance does not shout. Alignment whispers, this fits. Peace is fragile only when it is not protected. You don't protect peace by isolating yourself. You protect peace by honoring your limits, saying no when something feels heavy, pausing when something feels rushed, stepping back when something disrupts your center. That is not avoidance. That is alignment maintenance. Old patterns feel familiar. Overgiving, overthinking, overworking. They once kept you safe, but what kept you safe in survival will sabotage you in alignment. You no longer need to earn rest. You no longer need to prove worth. You no longer need to rush stability. Notice the urge and choose differently. Alignment is not a destination. It is a practice. You ask yourself daily, does this cost me peace? Does this align with who I've become? Am I choosing fear or trust? Small choices maintain big shifts. When you are aligned, you stop explaining yourself, not out of pride, but out of clarity. Not everyone needs to understand your choices. Not everyone needs access to your process. Silence protects alignment. Alignment does not mean disconnection. It means balanced connection. You give without draining. You listen without absorbing. You care without carrying. If you feel yourself shrinking, pause. Alignment never asks you to disappear. Quiet does not mean stagnation. Quiet often means stability. Growth does not always feel like movement. Sometimes it feels like peaceful consistency. Do not rush quiet seasons. They anchor what you've built. Your body will tell you tension, restlessness, unease. Don't argue with those signals. Alignment feels expansive,
not tight. Grounded, not anxious. Trust that awareness. Challenges will still come, but they won't undo you. Because now you respond instead of react. You don't spiral, you don't abandon yourself, you don't lose direction. That is stability. Enjoyment is not selfish. Joy is not dangerous. Peace is not temporary. You are allowed to enjoy your days without waiting for loss. That permission is part of healing. You are not who you were. You see clearly now. You feel deeply, but wisely now. You choose intentionally now. Trust that version. They know what they're doing. You no longer chase, you attract. People, opportunities, and peace will align naturally because you are aligned internally. That is the reward of patience. Closing. Stay here. You are not late. You were delayed with purpose. You are not catching up. You arrived prepared. Now live gently, live honestly, live aligned. And when you feel pressure trying to return, remember this: you are no longer built for survival. You are built for peace. If this message completes something in you, say, I stay aligned. If you're ready to live this way, say, I walk in peace. Rest here. You don't have to rush ever again.